uh, Welcome everyone. A lot of you have joined us today. It's a very interesting session. It's one of the first sessions in an upcoming series of MarTech webinars that e4m is planning. And the title for the first session is The Future of AI in Marketing Beyond Chatbots. A couple of months ago, I was, just thinking about buying a new pair of sneakers. And as I was thinking, uh, I went to Amazon, and before I could type, in the search box, Adidas sneakers was already written. It was as if Amazon had read my mind. I was both astonished and in fear as to what had just happened. But these are the times we are living in, the times of omni-channel where information sharing is not just intra-brands, but inter-brands too. And I think that is what is defining the future of AI in marketing today. But it goes beyond that. And for that, we have an expert panel today. We have Mr. Vikram Singh, who is the head of digital marketing ITC Hotel. We have Miss Vitasta Kaul, CM of Cooper AI. Neha Bhardwaj, head of marketing Go Mechanic. Rahul Podar, head of Martech Narayana Health. And we'll be joined very soon by, we have been joined by Mr. Himanshu Srohi as well, who is the head of digital marketing at Apollo 24/7. Thank you, everybody. And before I start, I would love to invite Dr. Anurag Batra, who is the chairman and editor-in-chief of Business World and Exchange for Media, to start the proceedings. Mr. Batra, over to you.
Thank you, Bridge. I'm here more to welcome you. For us, it's a new journey. Om Ganesha and Nama. So we are starting this with the background that 25 years back they said business is marketing. The only thing that differentiates a business from another business is the brands they have. And marketing is a growth function. It creates business. It creates top line, bottom line. Marketing in the last 3 years post-COVID has become even more digital. Within that digital world, the role of Gen AI, the role of AI, the role of marketing tech in marketing and growth decisions has become very important. A couple of days back on Exchange for Media, we had a story which said 95% of the marketers, CMOs and CMO minus one, intend to use MarTech in making growth decisions and using the tools. Currently, on an average, between 15 to 17% of the budgets of marketing are deployed through marketing tech tools. So, and it's growing. We are likely to be 30% in the next 12 months and grow. So clearly, my favorite two themes about CMOs are how many CMOs will become CEOs, because CMOs are growth drivers, and the average tenure of a CMO is coming down. It is almost 35 months in India now. Uh, about 10 years back, it was more than 60 months. It was 72 months about 15 years back. So clearly, people who understand technology, who understand marketing, who understand growth, MarTech is creating that growth with the budget shrinking, plus the ability to be precise, to be able to map what is creating a sales funnel, what is creating the sales conversion, and be able to get insights that help you build better relationships and also sell well, is what marketing technology is helping us do. So, in exchange for media, yesterday we launched a MarTech newsletter. I'm sure some of you got it. Brig is the editorial lead for MarTech at e4m. He's launching this as a new initiative, launching it as a new site, new community, because the deep dive within the tools, what's happening needs to be at a much more granular level than we do at the e4m level. So clearly, thank you for being part of the inaugural seminar. We'll do the Thursday MarTech webinars very regularly, at least once a fortnight, and maybe then get to once a week. So thank you, Ms. Kaul, Ms. Bhardwaj, Mr. Poddar, Mr. Singh, and Mr. Siroi for being part of the E4M MarTech Thursdays. Over to Bridge to be able to take this forward. Subscribe to the new E4M MarTech newsletter, and in April first week we'll launch the site and a full-fledged community on just MarTech. So, and in June we're doing a 2-day conference on MarTech. So clearly we'll involve people like you who are users of MarTech to, who are brand owners, who are leaders, to be able to talk to the ecosystem on what is working in MarTech, what's the future, how does deployment happen, how does measurement happen, what are the trends. So today is the start. All the best. Back to you, Rich.
Thank you, Dr. Batra. Thank you for those words. Of course, we are building this community, and we'll keep deep diving into it. But before we deep dive into this panel, let's warm up a bit. And my first question to all of you, and you can go one by one. AI is changing how we shop, how we interact, and at your level, how we market things. Whether it's a gadget, whether it's a hotel stay or health service. We can start with, and 30 seconds to each panelist. What's one wow moment AI has created for customers in your industry, and how did it impact their experience? So, we can start with Asta, then we can go on to Vikram, Himanshu, Neha, and Rahul. With Asta, over to you.
Sure. So I've largely worked in two industries. The previous one was an e-commerce retail sort of format, and the current organization that I work for is a music licensing company. Being in the music space, you do understand that Gen AI has suddenly become the buzzword and the talk of this particular industry, right? Like generating music and creative assets using artificial intelligence. One wow moment for me, and trust me, this wasn't through my own product or Gen AI has suddenly become the buzzword and the talk of this particular industry, right? Like, I'm sorry, there is some kind of creative assets feedback that I'm getting from.
Okay, no, no, please continue. Please.
Sorry, okay. So I was saying that in the music space, generative AI has suddenly become the buzzword. And recently, we were researching, we had a brief that had come in and we were researching on a very interesting project and we were sort of struggling with where to start. And we actually went on a couple of Gen AI platforms and we just put in our keywords and a couple of brief inputs. And we got some really interesting responses and some interesting options. And then we realized that while obviously generative AI, when it comes to music, the learning happens on a lot of empirical stuff that already exists in the web space or in the web universe. But the ability of artificial intelligence to now understand what is required and pull the right instances and draw from the right kind of inspiration sources has become so refined that for us it actually gave us a very interesting starting point. So while as an organization and as a person also I'm not in favor of Gen AI coming into the creative spaces, I do see that it is definitely an enabler or it gives you a great starting point to be able to start thinking or creating something fresh. So for me, that I think was a great wow moment in the recent few months.
Absolutely. Quickly over to you, Rahul.
Hi. I think I'm a sucker for lot of data based decision making. So while there are a lot of applications of AI across the industry, and I will hear a lot of it about it today. I think my wow moment was the ability that AI has given out in terms of understanding the consumer behavior. Because if you see any industry, there's so many attributes, so many data points that we have access to. So many behavioral data points which were earlier not easy to decipher. Now AI has enabled us, for example, if you go 5 years ago or 10 years ago, the way you would probably do customer segmentation was you create few personas, say 5 personas, 6 personas, and then design your marketing plan. Now you no longer constrained by that. I think you can have 100 plus personas, and it allows you to understand each persona very well in terms of behavior as things like how am I what times am I most expected to take a call, what times am I more expected to read a message, what times am I most expected to go out of my home and visit a store, and so many such behavioral patterns which were earlier very difficult to identify. I think now AI, the wow moment in AI is it has given an opportunity to understand the behavior of our consumers in a great way. And the future is now customer experience. So that's, I think, is the most exciting thing for me, because we probably want to lay down and die by the stone of customer marketing, customer experience now. So I think that's one of the most exciting things ahead for me, and has been for the last 1 year or so.
So the first thing which comes to my mind when I hear this is DPDP and the issue of privacy, but we'll delve into it later.
Sure.
And I think it comes to the minds of most people who are, and by the way, we have about 160 people who have joined. We are expecting more, so we have about 300 registrations. So 160 people have joined us. And I'd request the audience, if you have any questions at any point in time, there is a Q&A bot right there where you are seeing this webinar. You can just go in, you can type your question, it will reach me, and once we have time the end of the session, I'll put them to the panelists. Neha, over to you in 30 seconds. uh, the wow movement you have experienced AI in marketing.
To be very honest, as soon as I got into digital from traditional marketing background, I think the wow started there itself. How directly you can target the audience. The moment we shifted to digital campaigns, and now campaigns like Advantage Plus, if you guys are familiar with that, I'm sure a lot of people are. It's I think it's very seamless the way they target the audience, the way they show the the placements of the your creative, the way the creative should be, in terms of your target audience. I think all this comprises of the wow moment. Whenever you open a tech, and we are a tech-based platform, and who would have thought car servicing would be app-based and tech-based and so quick and very easy to order and sort of be just like an FMCG or any other product. So I think we all combined, digital is going ahead with a lot of wow moments coming forward, I say.
Over to you, Himanshu.
Yeah, so hi everyone. I think the biggest moment for me was probably late 2020. So I was leading marketing for a startup, Pepper Content, and through our VC Lightspeed, we were one of the only companies in India who got beta access to ChatGPT's OpenAI APIs, and that's when we were truly amazed. I mean, with the potential of what AI can do. We in fact shipped a product within 2 months, uh, got to about $1 million ARR. And this is all before ChatGPT was end user facing. There was no ChatGPT back then. We were able to build a product on that API, generate over $1 million in ARR. And I was truly amazed on what the future was had for us. So that was the first wow moment when I got the access to it. The second wow moment happened to me was about a year back or about 2 years back when I joined Apollo. Because see, with AI, a lot of it is fluff, right? A lot of the stuff that brands are doing, rather than the application being actually useful for the end user, a lot of it is either solving your operational workflows or marketing workflows, or probably it is fluff wherein you are kind of using videos and changing faces and stuff. With Apollo, what we have done is we have created a clinical intelligence engine wherein which we call Ask Apollo, wherein all of us have a tendency to go to Google, whether it is a cough or probably a pain in the head, and you probably go to Google and search. The whole idea was Apollo has more longitudinal and latitudinal data with over 1 million plus consultations that we do uh, almost on an annual basis. With all of that data coming in, that's where we launched this bot. And this is actually a proper use case of AI wherein we do differential diagnosis, and anyone can go to the symptom checker and probably check out your symptoms. It tells you what is the disease that you are most likely suffering from, and probably uh, less likelihood. So all of those factors clubbed in together with the right questions which were pinpointed to the user, n equal to one sort of a personalization. So that was my truly wow moment when an actual AI use case saw the day of the light.
Vikram, over to you.
So I think from hospitality perspective, there are two different perspective I'm going to give you, and I'll try to keep it short. One is from an operational perspective. AI is sort of helping the entire industry in streamlining our. It's a very human-based, operational-heavy industry, hospitality. So it has helped us to streamline a lot of those processes in the back end for us, which helps us to now be more efficient, we are focusing more on delivering a better service and a better experience to the customers versus in the back end trying to figure out how do we do things manually. A very small example is our pricing used to be handled manually 5 years 7 years back, pricing for all our hotel rooms and inventory. That has moved to completely dynamic now. It is based on a lot of
Very bad.
it's
All the
that.
shirts are very high price.
Yeah, but that's how the industry is shaping up. It's a demand supply game. Unfortunately, the demand will always play a big role. If the demand is high, then supply becomes limited. It's a limited supply at the end of the day in every city, and that has really helped us to improve our overall performance because now we know that if the demand is increasing, the prices will automatically go up for a particular property in a particular location. At the same time, I think from a marketing perspective, all of us have been talking about how it helps us to scale up our campaigns, make it more personalized, make sure that we are sending the right communication to the right guest, and it's happening more real time versus waiting for creating your campaigns, creating your cohorts manually. I think a lot of these things happens more real time, more dynamically, and the outcome of the campaign is far more sharper and better than what it used to be. So I think all of these things are for a marketer, it's a great sort of an era to sort of be in and use these technologies in the right way.
Absolutely, absolutely. Words of wisdom. Rahul, you mentioned, and I'll open up the general questions now. You mentioned you have been a data person. Today, predictive analysis and data can, to an extent, scientists are working on it, can predict when an earthquake happens in a specific region. Similarly, in healthcare, based on trends that we have seen in the past, can AI predict a possible epidemic in the future? Maybe at a more micro level, can AI predict upcoming diseases for an individual? Uh, you know, uh, these days, watches, work in a way where they, analyze your behavior, analyze your movements, and can predict, that you might go through something like this. You know, uh, are we at that level of advancement when it comes to AI in healthcare marketing?
Um, but I mean, there are two ways to look at this question, right? Can AI do this in terms of so can AI predict epidemics? I don't know. Sure, maybe in the future, but can AI predict based on your current state of health and current behaviors and habits? Can it predict what possibly could happen to you, and what do you need to be taken care about in terms of preventive health, right? Yes, but the thing is, right? It comes with it's a double-edged sword, right? You go for a preventive health check. I mean, most of us probably do our preventive health checks once a year, um, and the thing is that there are so many things that are being checked there. Can AI help us understand them a little more? Yes, of course. The thing is, this is very sensitive information. Number one. Second, do people want to act on this information right now? I mean, how many of you want to know that, when you did your, ECG and something in your heart tells us that, you are a little more prone to a heart issue than somebody else, and this is something that you need to do right now. Do you want to hear that news? I don't know. And in what manner, and what do you want to do after that? Those are the questions that I think we would probably, have to answer in a very, very good manner. Um, and we have to be very careful about how we are putting things. Are we having enough empathy? Are we following the regulations to the T in terms of the DVDP Act? All of those things are something that we'll have to think about. In fact, I mean, I'm sure Himanshu probably would want to add to this, but we almost all companies in healthcare now are equipped with understanding the health data and the EMR data for all their patients. I think the trick is how do you take it to the person from a preventive health point of view, and how do you want them to act on it? Um, and that is something that we're trying to figure out. And just to give you, we have to say no to a lot more things than we say yes to when it comes to doing things with respect to people's information. we had to shut down a few of our initiatives that we were trying to figure out whether they can be taken to market, and that's where the responsibility comes into the fact. And you can have all kind of DBTP acts and ethical boards across all companies, but at the end of the day, uh, you know how you manage that program and how you manage that communication with people is the key. um, but coming back to your original question, can AI do this? Yes, it can. It is already doing. It is already helping clinicians and healthcare professionals across the ecosystem in doing their jobs a little better, and taking out the less productive time, and spending time more on how to solve for the patient. So I think those things are definitely helping us, rather than what we are trying to do at Narayana is a lot of our efforts with respect to AI and Gen AI applications is around how can we help our healthcare professionals and clinicians and doing and assisting to do their job better, rather than going directly to the patient with a lot of data analytics. So I think that's where our focus has been right now, and I think that's where our focus will be for some time, till the time we figure out this right balance of how to manage this communication with patients.
And I think it's very difficult to be a marketer in the healthcare industry, especially when you are dealing with a lot of data, because others still have a rather, some freedom to use that data. But when it comes to healthcare, it's something which is very close to people's hearts. And, you have to
Of
be very
course, of
careful
course.
about.
And so, for example, a year ago, we decided not to do any app notifications on our app. We have about more than 1 million people using our app, but we don't do any app notifications because we realized nobody wants to hear from a hospital in terms of, oh, do your test now or something like that. People want to have more meaningful, more relevant messaging, and they would want to probably believe that it helps them, and that's, I think, is a very, very fine balance to sort of achieve.
Uh, True. True, Rahul. I'll come to Vitasta. You licensing. AI can really help in this music licensing industry, because you can always generate new tunes. You can help your clients in an amazing way. So, how is Hooper going around it? Any specific cases you would want to tell us about where an AI generated campaign almost went viral?
Sure. So, just at the onset, I want to sort of put out a disclaimer that when it comes to any sort of creative asset, especially music, generative AI is a very gray area, because you're training on somebody else's data and you're training on somebody else's content without their explicit consent. Okay. So Hooper as a platform, although it's a music licensing platform, the tunes are not generated by artificial intelligence. The tunes that we have on the platform are created by human beings. So these are actual original music pieces. The AI layer that actually comes into play is the way in which the recommendations are generated, especially keeping your use case or your brand requirements in mind. If you're a fashion brand, you're making content for, let's say, Eid, and you have a very specific line of kurtis and Indian wear that you are launching for a certain kind of target audience that speaks a certain language and has a certain kind of choice in terms of spending habits and media consumption. Yes, the platform can then recommend the right kind of music to help you get the right fit with that kind of audience. Recently, we used AI and we used a lot of data. We did a huge campaign with Bingo Tede Mere, which is an ITC product, a chips brand. We did a lot of data assessment in terms of what the brand's features are, how the target audience thinks, talks, behaves, what kind of clothes do they wear, at what points of the day do they actually go to the shop to pick up or buy those chips. We did a lot of that. And then we mapped it to our database of artists and figured out what kind of music would be relevant and what the right promotional strategy for them could be. And that actually gave us a like a viral campaign that we recently launched with them called Tede Mere, and it was done with one of Bihar's largest and most popular singer called Kesari Lal Yadav. So the entire process that happened in the back end before the campaign could go live was all run based a lot of data and a lot of AI inputs and recommendations. So that's how the brands get serviced when it comes to licensing on Hooper. So
Okay.
it's primarily to refine and give the right kind of recommendations to brands.
When you were talking about, a generative AI basically trained on all the data available in the world,
Yeah.
reminded me of a case which OpenAI is fighting in India with ANI, where
Yes.
ANI has put up a case saying that, when people are searching news, there are, references to what we put out, and you
Yes.
didn't take our permission. And OpenAI is saying, we are a US based company, come and fight with us in the US.
No, even as we speak right now, all of the music labels in India and all of the music artists in India are currently up in arms against a lot of these Gen AI platforms, especially OpenAI, a bunch of platforms. Like if you actually go on Google and search, you will notice that there are loads of lawsuits and class action suits which are sort of pending against these platforms, because who gave you the right to monetize something which is trained on something else, which belongs to something else, which is the original creative work of some other person or some other entity, and you're not even remunerating them or crediting them for that work,
So
right?
definitely a topic for one of our next webinars.
Sure.
Uh, Thank you so much. With paucity of time, I'll come to you, Vikram. Um, uh, I was reading a news wherein you now have room service robotic agents who, based on previous customer experience, know what to serve, when to serve. There are things like Hilton's connected room experience, which again based on your previous user data. And not just hotel industry. I mean, Netflix knows what it gives you recommendations on what to binge. Spotify builds you a perfect playlist. In the luxury hospitality industry, personalization is almost everything. People who are paying that much love that sort of personalization. Do you see a future where AI-driven hotels not just adjust your favorite temperature, but even come out and say your preferred morning coffee routine? How is ITC leveraging AI that way and crafting a truly innovative, unforgettable guest experience?
So very, very interesting point of view also, Rich, that you have highlighted. Uh, See, in a luxury category or in a hotel category, like you're saying, managing the temperature based on your last preference or last stay is very, very easy to kind of predict. You have a lot of these things stored in your database these days. We know everything about a customer, starting from the time that he usually checks in, what sort of flights he's coming into our hotel from, where which city is coming in from. Usually, is he a solo traveler, business traveler, or is he coming with his family or his kids or someone, something like that? What's his food preferences? We have a lot of that data that is stored in our database and all. So there is a wealth of data that we have, but how do we use this in the right way so that it is not too intrusive also? At the same time, the customer should feel that we are doing this in the right way. He should feel that value that we are not you know trying to do this just because we have too much of data and we are trying to enter into his life in a uh, there has to be that border line that you cannot cross. So putting in the temperature based on his last visit, last day and all is still okay. There are moments, I remember I was staying in one of the hotels. I can't name that hotel right now, and I just told them that I don't like a certain kind of flower which was in my room. And next time when I went there, they changed the flowers and they placed a note next to it that we know that you don't like lilies or something which was there earlier. Hence, there's a different set of flowers for you. So
That's
that's
more
a good
scary than
gesture.
interesting, honestly.
Sorry.
That's scarier than being interesting.
But
I'll
that's
be
still a
scared.
that's still a good gesture because at least they understood that I don't like this. There was a feedback that was shared by me, and they took care of that feedback for my future stay also.
True, true.
Similarly, let's say if I'm allergic to a certain kind of food, and if a customer is telling me that I don't like, let's say, seafood, or I'm allergic to seafood, next time as a brand I should be aware that I should try to make sure that I'm not serving him seafood, or I know this in advance. So that's the way AI can help hoteliers in terms of understanding the customer's problems and their needs and their preferences. I just feel that we have to draw a line where we cannot cross. Like even Rahul was saying, some healthcare is a very, very scary sort of a zone, where you don't know how much to talk about, where to draw that line. In our case, also, it's a very, very similar thing because everybody reacts in a different way. Even if we feel, we're trying to personalize and, maybe make his stay more comfortable, but the customer might feel in a different way.
Hmm.
In our case, for example, we also know that what is the pillow preference that a customer may have. But now for his next day, should we change that preference? Should we make sure that, we give him that same set of pillow that he has asked for in the past? That's the sort of area where, you have to understand. And it's still a, I think like AI tools are learning themselves. I think we are also learning to understand and adapt to these tools in the right way. But I think slowly as we move forward, this is going to get better. Your tools will become much more smarter. We will become much more smarter to, use these tools in the right way. Uh, but
Hmm.
yeah, I think that's where we are. It's a gray zone right now. We're just trying to make sure that we don't overcross that boundary line also, but at the same time, slowly scale up our operations. You mentioned about robotics and all. I know a few hotels where a lot of their operation part is moving towards completely robotics. They are proper robots who are doing the housekeeping of, so a few hotels in China these days. So that is also one of the areas, where hospitality is moving into. But again, most of these things are done right now. They are being done from a, experimentation purpose, just to learn and understand how much will this help to either, fast track your operations, or will it help to, put less load on your manpower, and your resources can focus probably more in some different areas. But yeah, the industry is still learning and growing. We're not at a stage where we can say that, we know everything and now we are, just scaling up. We're still in that exploration zone, I think, as an industry, I'm talking about, not just as a brand.
No, you talked about when you do personalization for a guest, with respect to predicting what they might or might not like, and you don't know how they'll feel. Perhaps AI can move into a future where AI will tell you how that customer will also feel. So
Hopefully, yeah. And that is what the entire predictive analysis or AI is all about. Slowly that prediction behavior is becoming more and more stronger. And once, we have that confidence that, whatever AI is predicting, we should follow that. I think that's the time when, we will be able to start scaling up our sort of marketing automation also in a more confident way. Uh, but yeah, it's still in that zone where we need to learn and be more cautious right now.
yes, over to you, Neha. You raised her.
Point where you would want to know how a customer is feeling. I think we already have those tools where we can predict the sentiments over the call of a customer, and that we usually do in incoming calls. And we I mean, they really give us the details of how a customer is feeling, what is the sentiment, and what is the what percentage likely he is to book an order or not. So we're already there, I think. And but I think to everybody's point, I always feel there has to be a mix of AI should be used as a support system rather than completely depending on AI for to actually drive the whole business. That I always
But,
feel. And
but honestly, can we truly understand a customer's sentiment? Maybe you call them one day and they have had a fight with somebody. I mean, with their wife. I mean,
yes, that is why I say it. That is why I say there has to be a balance. You really
yes,
can't depend
absolutely,
on AI completely because
absolutely.
again, it is human driven only to some extent.
True. So my next question was to you, Neha. So we have seen, brands like Tesla using real-time data to customize everything,
Yeah.
from service reminders to in-car experiences. In fact, many brands in India also do that these days.
Yeah.
How is Go Mechanic leveraging AI to create marketing campaigns that not only predict customer needs, but also make feel car servicing less like a chore and more like an engaging experience?
Well,
Especially since you are a third-party service provider,
yeah.
it becomes even more difficult for you because you're a, you're a third-party provider. So how does it go about? How do you go about it?
See, I think with us, it starts with the tech we are providing, right? We are taking the service to your phone, right? You instead of going, of course, in India, word of mouth really helps, and especially in our segment, right? It's an important asset to you, and you would want to rely on other people's experiences to go ahead, and get your car service done. But again, we do have first thing we did was get this service to your phones so that you can book it as easily, right? We started with the tech, which is the first thing that we did. secondly, like I said, we are maintaining a very nice balance between AI tech and human intervention. Now the quality, we do have a huge QC team, because it's like you said, we are aggregators, and it's important to be on ground, right? Whatever said and done, our work is done by humans, and checking that is our first priority. Now with marketing campaigns, I think our platforms that we rely on, Google and Meta, are already way ahead of time, right? They're already really experimenting in terms of targeting, in terms of the way a creative should be. And in fact, I have a team of 40 Gen Zs. And now you can really imagine how much chat GPT we use, right? So that is why I feel, yes, you can predict your consumer behavior. You can predict the kind of creatives that people like and would click on. And, but yes, I've actually seen CPPs going really, really down when you use open advantage, like I think mentioned in the start of the conversation on Meta. And I have done A/B testing where I've did one manual campaign where I knew my customer well. So I put a certain set of creative, I put a certain set of copy, and I put a certain set of targeting, right? Because like I said, I knew my customer. And the second, I left all to the AI. I said, okay, you go and get me a customer, and this is what I expect out of you. But again, the CPPs with the AI was way less than what I was targeting at, and that's why I feel that it has to be the right balance in terms of marketing ads. Yes, I would rely on AI. In terms of, like, Rahul, I think mentioned customer personas, right? I think we all did that manually, and it was really exciting, and I still would want to do that. But you type. I mean, this is I think this is AI's job today, right? To get you the right customer, to get you the right behaviors where you can target. So yes, I think the right mix of people and AI will, I think, get us way ahead rather than relying completely on AI, is what I say.
So I'll come to you, Himanshu. I think Rahul has already defined the sensitivity versus marketing and in AI problem and talked about it. What I'll come to you, and my question is, how do you take care of customers' privacy? Apollo 24/7 is, in other words, e-commerce of medicines, right? You can just go there. If it's not a medicine which essentially requires a doctor's prescription, you can probably just order it. And there comes a very, very interesting yet a line which thinly, survives on the boundary of ethical behavior. How do you, use that data? How do you use that data to then market those products to your the consumers coming on the app?
We don't. So very simply put, right? Anything that is sensitive in nature. And I think, so see what AI technically does for you. It helps you with precision in your marketing, helps you do creatives at scale, helps you auto-generate a lot of creatives at scale for you basis different customer segments, different use cases that you write. But what eventually happens with sensitive categories we operate in, right? We are not a travel portal where if your flight tickets gets cancelled, you can use AI to generate an auto communication and send it to a customer. For us, the stakes are extremely high. Imagine someone getting a cancer marker in one of their diagnostic lab reports. How do you communicate to that individual? So there's a lot of sensitivity around that. Then the second play is AI is being used, as Neha was mentioning about Meta, Google, right? 10 years or maybe 12 years back from now, you used to have keywords, used to have go to Meta, put in interest, behavior, and demographics, and used to target different bases. None of that exists right now. You don't really have to go to Google and enter keywords manually. You don't have to go to Meta and figure out which behavior or interest. You can leave it to Meta and Google to do that. What eventually all of these platforms are doing is, in some way or form, an emotional manipulation, right? There's a thin line, and probably a lot of these engines who are using AI, especially when they have behavioral data, they're kind of using platforms for emotional manipulation. That is certainly a line which is beyond ethics as a company for us. And we have purposely taken this call that we'll never cross that. So from a sensitivity lens, from a category lens where we have to be very responsible. We understand that, and we really do not go after those categories in an AI generated sort of a content or probably cohorting using AI. Definitely we use AI to have negative cohortization around those sensitive categories. And then probably the way we use AI, right? Right from your web or app shop, which is your app, which is your website, you probably need a CMS which has AI elements wherein if you come to our Apollo 247 app, the action cards that you see is n equal to 1 personalization. Everything happens for you, not a cohort in general. So all of that we have achieved across all our web and app assets. From a discoverability lens, whether it is Meta or a DSP that we're using like DV360 or a Criteo, we definitely use dynamic creative optimizers. We kind of change copy on the go. But then it is for categories where that are more FMCG centric, not really centric to medicines, right? Even on the customer, probably when I'm trying to reach out to those customers and all of my conversational marketing happens, my campaign orchestrations, we are very, very much clear that this is a degree of personalization we can do, whether it is push, whether it is WhatsApp, RCS, SMS, or probably even web push. We kind of understand the user, and the whole objective is to achieve n equal to 1 personalization. And that obviously happens via kind of getting out of fragmented systems, having very clean, structured, unique data sources, very centric to your business and your use cases, and then probably implementing AI on top of it, and then probably deciding which use cases you want to orchestrate, and being enough responsible enough to saying no to use cases which might be probably a marketer, exciting to a marketer, but might not be good for your customer. So stay away from that emotional manipulation conundrum. Probably be very focused on what you want to achieve. Because customer, at the end of the day, you are here to kind of service the customer in the best possible way within those ethical dynamics. Do not bypass that. So that's where we are as a brand.
True, true, true. We are almost approaching 4:50, so I'll open to audience questions, and I have a couple of questions. I'll request more questions to pour in. Until then, so a lot of marketers are watching this webinar, and one question from that perspective. Also, I had an interview with Scott Brinker, where he told me these days so many tools are available. So according to their research, there were about 11 tools in 2011, and there are now about around 14 and a half thousand tools, marketing tools available. So he said, go for one quality stack, then going for, a bundle of them. So my question to you would be, as a business who has a limited budget to adopt AI in marketing, which is that right tool, according to your experience, that a marketer should prefer in 2025? So we can start with Vikram.
I think budget will always be, one of the key factors when it comes to adapting to or scaling up your technology or your MarTech solutions. So once you understand what are your budget limitations, then you have to go back and figure out what is the larger business objective that you want to solve. And then you figure out the technology that will help you do best technology that can help you to kind of help solve that business problem. What is happening these days is, a lot of these products, services, and all, they come to you, they show you a very big picture that, we give you this MarTech solution, you can do this, you can do that. And 2 years down the line, you have invested the money, and then you realize that it is not sort of giving you the output that you actually wanted it to give. But I think the problem in that is when we were taking up those solutions, we were not very clear of what we want to achieve from those solutions. And one of the bigger problem in that is technology can still solve a lot of problem for you. But ultimately, it is your team sitting in your offices, who are going to deploy those technologies and then start to use those technologies. Most of the time, it's the team that will fail you to, scale up and, use those technologies in the right way.
That's
So you have
another
to
debate
understand
for the skill issue. There's
It's
a
not the skill issue. Sometimes skills are easy to adapt also. It becomes a problem of, how much people wants to, change themselves to, sort of start using these sort of new processes. They are comfortable using or working in a certain kind of way, and they don't want to change very easily. And this is a problem a lot of brands have faced when they invest money and they don't have the right set of people, uh, doing it in the right way. Then they feel that the technology is not supporting them, to fulfill their business objective. So you have to bring that balance, understand the problem, find the right product. Doesn't have to be a full 360 MarTech solution to begin with. It can be small, tools, which can probably just help you to do A/B testing, for example, or which can help you to just scale up your, marketing content to begin with. Understand those, the how you're optimizing them, and then start to scale up. If slowly also evolve your teams are the one, that will eventually make it happen in the right way. But it will not happen overnight. A lot of times people also feel that, the moment we have the technology, now everything will change, but it doesn't happen like that. So you have to have the right time and right patience also to deal with this. uh, but yeah, align it with your larger business objectives, solve it one by one. If budget is a constraint, if budget is not a constraint, there are a lot of brands who are just going all out, because they have the money. So then it is not a question. But if you have a budget problem, then you go step by step. That's the way we should scale up.
Hmm. Thanks for that, advice. So we have one question from Mr. Samir Biral from Adwell Group. The question is, as we integrate predictive analysis into dynamic marketing strategies, how do we tackle issues like data latency, model drift, feature selection to ensure forecasting remains both accurate and actionable in real-time competitive landscape? Who would want to take that question?
I think the answer of this question is in the question itself, right? I mean, all the variables which you have to look out for, latency, everything is mentioned in the question itself, right? So a lot of times, these are the factors which kind of stop you from scaling up different AI models. So you got to look out for one, whether the data is structured, what is the kind of latency, what are the kind of variables which are being passed among different core systems who will do the entire execution, and then the format in which you're sharing the model, right? How it'll be consumed by different systems. Is it being consumed by a front end system for personalization? Is it being consumed from by a customer orchestration engine? Is it being consumed probably for a rule engine like dynamic dormancy for that matter, and you want to calculate when the customer can become dormant? So all of these things need to come in together for you to succeed in creating a strong AI model. And then finally, probably another aspect is the model can never be static. It has to kind of be built over a period of time with very specific cadences on when you kind of refurbish the model, when it gets refreshed, what are the new additions to in terms of variables that you are doing to that model. So I think the answer lies in the question itself, wherein when you are doing predictive modeling, kind of look at all the variables, understand how they play a role, understand which systems are gonna consume that data, and then finally, how are you gonna refresh your models basis your current marketing needs and your business use cases.
Hmm. There's one more question, very pretty direct. I think we will all resonate. What about the securities of customer data? I think we all we all have that question, but there's let me please tell us in detail how AI can help in specific segments of marketing. I don't know which segment is Mr. Lincoln talking about, but I'll go to you, Neha. And coming back to that question, which is the right tool? And how do you sort it out? Are there any specific tools, which can, be agnostic of the industry, which perhaps anybody can use, and of course beyond chatbots?
I think for data we use branch. It's essentially I think anybody should use tracking tools more. Data analytics tool more rather than any other tool, because I think our platforms in itself have really really grown. All the ad platforms, so that you don't need to spend a lot of time there. And I think you should be very clear. I think somebody said a very interesting quote, which is like, without data, it's your and mine discussion, right? So data has to decide where, who to target, which customer segmentation. I think the last question was. So I think your business will decide which customer, your business, where your business stands right now will decide, right? What are you targeting in terms of what are your vision? Let's say you want to only focus on top funnel, so you focus on that sort of data. You want to target your older customers, you want to bring them back, you want to focus on customer retention, then you focus on that kind of customer segmentation. So it all depends on where your business is standing at what point. And then yes, the tool that you use should be, I think, more of data analytics rather than any other tool, I would say.
So very quickly, I'll resonate back to our topic, the future of AI in marketing, and I'll ask again, 30 seconds, and let's close with this. What is your key takeaway prediction for AI in marketing the next 2 to 3 years? And let's start with Rahul.
Um, Before I come to this 30 seconds, I'll just take a leeway of, one important, my learning is when you're choosing a MarTech stack is a lot of time, even if, I mean, what Vikram and Neha said, all the right things, but one thing which I have personally realized is that even if budget is not a constraint, it's very important to understand your current state of your data accuracy, data sanity, and your current state of operations in your company. Because suppose you have all the money in the world, so you go for all the big players like Salesforce and Zoho of the world. But it's very difficult to implement these products because these are very highly customizable products, and your data may not be in one place. So for that, you might need a smaller player which can do a plug and play instead of customized model. So it all depends. It is one of the very critical factors, especially for small and medium enterprises or for early stage startups, is that you realize what your current state is, and then choose a player. Just don't go for the best in the market because there is nothing called best in the market, right? So I think that's one learning that I have learned probably the hard way also in the last couple of years. But that's one very important thing. But coming back to
the right fit versus the greatest fit.
Yes. So that's my take on that. And I think in the future of AI in marketing, I think we all talk about customer experience and other things, but I think one sector which I think in the next 2 to 3 years and beyond will benefit a lot from the AI tools in marketing is the social sector. I think it's a huge space, and not just tools. The space suffers from the right minds being applied to do what. So you have things like how to scale a particular project. You have things like fundraising in the NGO sector and the social sector, and you have things like how to make large level impact known to the world. Because we are going into a future where change makers of the world will be the future, right? So I think that's one sector which really excites me. I think that's where the future lies for AI in marketing. If we can develop tools and we can develop minds where the social sector learns how to use AI to augment their impact, I think that's one of the most exciting space, and I'll keep my eye on it for the next few years.
Vikasta, over to you.
Yeah, I sort of resonate with what he's saying. I think that in terms of marketing, the next thing that I see in AI is that decision making becomes far more agile and faster. And how that really matters is for a lot of startups like ours, where money and resources in terms of people is always a constraint, right? So you can't sit with a lot of data every single time and take decisions manually. And for us to scale, it's also important that we're utilizing every hour of the day and every rupee in the bank with far more efficiency, right? So having the right processes in place, having the right data analysis in place, having the right decision making in place, which does not completely depend on any sort of human intervention, I think is very important. So I feel that that's where AI can really play a big role for marketers like us.
Himanshu, over to you.
So the simple answer is I don't know what is going to happen in the next 2 years, and I don't think anyone knows, including Elon Musk. See, if you've seen a picture of New York in Times Square in 1930s, it was a road full of horses. 10 years from then, there were no horses, all cars. Probably one car and versus all no horse cars. So that is what's going to happen. The next 5 years will be the biggest uh, advancements that we would have seen in the industry. And AI, I think, will be a big force multiplier for businesses. And it will not be the brands who will just capitalize on AI using trends. They will succeed. They will definitely not succeed. It will be the brands who will not follow just the trends, but would be ethical, would be strategic, and would probably shape the creative direction of the industry using AI. And none of us know how it's going to play out in the next 2, 3 years. Probably 1 year we can still tell, but 2, 3 years, how agentic AI, how everything is evolving, it's gonna be massive for all of us.
Hmm. Absolutely, and hence the need for more systems and rules and regulations in place to for checks and balances. And I think I'll cover that in one of my forthcoming webinars. It's very interesting take. To you, Neha.
Well, I think it will be a bit of all. I think, like I said, predictive AI is already there. Targeting is already in place. Creativity, especially, it's all automated. I mean, you put in the brief and the video is ready, the creative is ready. So I think they're already there, and which is I would say is making people lazy. As a marketer, and especially coming from traditional marketing, I would say marketing is actually about people and should come from people. I would end this with a note, and I really strongly feel that is why I always say it has to be balanced. It has to be a very good balance between what AI tells us, what AI teaches us, what AI predicts for us, and what we do as marketers. So, whatever happens in next 3, 4 years, I think the budding marketers should really maintain a balance. You should not become lazy. You should really meet people, talk to your consumers, understand them, and then sell your products or services.
There's a saying, things which make you lazy also make you efficient. By the
Absolutely.
laziest person on earth, perhaps. But
Not when you're
you know,
selling.
I remember about 9 years ago, when I used to take video interviews, the hardest job for me was not getting the interview, but to transcribe that interview. It would
Uh,
take me 7 to 8 hours just to transcribe it, which just happens in like 5 seconds
right.
now.
Yes, it's
So
right.
I think it does make you more efficient as well. Over to you, Vikram.
I think nothing more to add because I think most of everybody has answered this in a really good way. The only thing I can add is just be ready to adapt yourself to how AI is evolving now. It's a area which is still unknown to a lot of marketeers and a lot of brands, and just experiment with this. Make sure that you're not leaving this for somebody else to figure out. You need to figure this out right now. And all the marketing leads, who see in digital, what has been happening is every 2 or 3 years something new comes in, and you
Yeah.
always feel that this will probably not stay for a long time. This will probably be a buzzword for the next 2 years, 3 years, and then something new will come up.
True.
But I think with AI, that is not the case. AI is going to stay, and it is going to shape up the way everything is evolving from a marketing perspective. So just be ready to accept the changes and keep evolving your own skills and your own knowledge. I think that's the way we need to look at this right now.
So, some amazing insights, and I think as we keep this series on, I think we'll delve deeper into the various facets. This was the first webinar, and I always, like ending, such webinars on lighter note. So, a small, rapid fire for all of you. So, I'll start with you, Vikram. Based on AI marketing recommendations you have received till date, which hotel would you like to stay in, apart from ITC?
Ah, I have a list of a lot of hotels to be honest. In every city, I will have one favorite hotel. But yeah, I mean, these
But
days there are a lot of these boutique resorts, like your glampings and your
Yeah.
igloos and all, which are very, very unique properties. And especially in India, I'm not talking about outside India. I think India, we need to explore India more, and there are a lot of amazing hotels in India which are coming up. Small boutique resorts, Postcard Hotels is a chain of small boutique resorts which is doing really well, and something on those lines is something which I would love to go and explore.
Neha, if AI could predict your next car purchase, which model would it be?
Like every marketer says, depends on the budget. So we're all short of budgets all the time. So it will all depend on that. We all have our favorites, but I think this is a huge decision to make. So I really can't do that.
Himanshu, if
Ask Rahul and me, right? Which hospital do you want to get admitted?
That's
uh,
really
uh,
want to know what question you have for them.
I think we should end on that note. Probably. Uh, but thank you so much again, guys. It's 5-6. I wouldn't want to take more of your time. I think it was a very engaging discussion. Of course, there are a few topics. One is of skill, one is of privacy, one is of finding the right stack in the haystack of stacks. So I think we'll do ponder on it. I'll keep talking to you on this, via various mediums of conversation. Thank you again for giving us your time, and to our audience, who came in a huge number. Thank you again. If you have any questions, you can write to me. I'll make sure that I'll share those answers with you from our panelists. Thank you again, everybody, for joining us,
Thank you.
and I'll connect with all of you very soon. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Nice meeting all of you. Thank you.